What's going on, trading card game players? Figs here with Figs Forum, bringing you guys another rendition of Phantom Knights. So I wanted to go ahead and give you guys an update on what I'm doing with Phantom Knights. I put it down for a little while and was competitively playing Rescue Ace. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way that I wanted to, so of course, we're back on Phantom Knights. Well, I mean, never really left, but we always have it readily available when we need it. But I want to go ahead and share with you guys what I've been playing more recently. Went to a locals, went 3-1. The games that I lost, I didn't even see a Phantom Knight name. I had a one card to start with. And unfortunately, I drew like double talents and something like that, and like it was really bad. It was really bad. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get there the one game. But all the other games were actually pretty solid. The deck performed the way that it needed to, and the cards actually worked absolutely well. So let's go ahead and get into it so I can showcase this for you guys, and I'll try to give you guys a little combo as well at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we've got our 2 Torn Scale, our 3 Silent Boots, our 2 Cloak, our 1 Gloves, our 1 Greaves, 2 Fog, 1 Wing, and 1 Shade Burgundy. So the minute we're playing Stained Greaves, we're playing access to a rank 4. I definitely want to make sure that we had options for being able to, set up our board. Ophion's not as good as it used to be, of course, because we're in a different format. So we're trying to adapt to the format and play cards that we know are going to accommodate. 2 Torn is what we went with. It is actually a 1-card starter for the deck, but unfortunately with Bishios running around, I felt it better to play 2 copies of Cloak. So that's where I supplemented it, because I was actually going to play only just 1 Cloak, but we need to be able to have access to everything while also being able to, not lose anything important for our combo pieces. So yeah, this is the ratio that we went with. I think it's perfectly fine for what we're trying to do. And then we're also playing the Goblin engine. So we do have 2 Charger, 1 Gone Wild, Sploder, Merciless, 2 Entrance, and 1 Breakout. So this ratio is a little weird compared to what I was playing before. But I realized after playing the deck more and more, I'd much rather see a name to start than to see a card like Breakout, just because of the fact that not every card is going to allow me to do the full combo, even if I have Breakout with another monster. So for example, if I have a Phantom Knight monster and I do Breakout, I'm not going to be able to have all 3 monsters like I normally would if I had a Goblin monster. So in that regard, since I'm not playing a lot of extension, I wanted to make sure that, the engine was clean. I wanted to make sure that there was all the consistency I could possibly have. So I went with 2 Grand Entrance instead of 3 Breakout, just because this is basically another copy of this. So we're basically playing 4 copies of Doug Charger. Gone Wild can kind of do the same thing for our setup, but unfortunately, again, we're not playing a lot of extension in our extra deck like Fiendsmith. So we're not able to actually utilize Gone Wild as we would in a different build. We're also playing the Merciless and Sploder, of course. This is mainly for the combo, but Merciless is kind of for the unbricking. Also, Merciless comes in, very handy for being able to provide you with extension. You can send it off Cherubini and bring it back, and then you're also able to use it with the Protos to call water. You can use it to, again, use it as extension to detach from your XYZ materials. So definitely was nice having access to this because it unbricks everything that we needed to. But that's it for the engine, for the Goblin Biker engine. I wouldn't play anything different or more. I don't think I'd change it either, even as I've been playing it. I think it's been perfectly fine. Then we're doing the Protos and the Flag. That's how we're getting access to Protos, is through Flag with the Banshee XYZ monster. I like this a lot. Actually, this works very well just because of the fact that there's a lot of really cool ways where you're able to actually get the attributes that you need set up on the board while also being able to still even call dark and have interruptions for your opponent's board on the follow-up. So I did like this a lot. This was actually really good. Yeah, it worked very well because I just blind call water or light, and everyone who's playing Fiendsmith pretty much can't play the game, which is like 90% of the format right now. 3 of the Speedroid Terratop, 1 Take Tomborg. So of course one of our best 1-card combos in the deck. Then we have a couple of hand traps and board breakers. We have the 3 Ash Blossom, the 3 Forbidden Droplet, and the 3 Talents. So we wanted to make sure we had access to being able to deal with our opponent's board while also having protection. And these cards are amazing in this format, so there's no reason why we don't just utilize them. Then we're also playing the Reinforcements and the Call By, because Call By is Call By. And Reinforcements gets us to actually both Phantom Knights, and it gets us to our Goblin engine. Then we did 3 Designator and our targets. So obviously we have other targets in the main board, but are in the other cards. But these are the ones that we're playing as the one-ofs, because I felt like if I drew any of them, they're actually very good, even just to draw in this format. If I draw in Tangent with Crossout and I'm going first, then, it could happen, but, things happen all the time. But I think that this is actually a very good ratio. I think that this was actually absolutely perfect. This allowed me to have the deck at 45 while also being able to have protection. And this actually originally was the Azamina engine. I had it at like a 9-card engine with Wanted. I cut it down to actually 6, where I was doing the 3 Black Witch and the 3 of the Deception with 1 Azamina spell. And then I thought, why play a whole nother engine with potential of bricks where the monsters and cards that I'm using that my opponent could hand trap are actually going to lose me value. So it's like, if I'm going to summon Dia Bellstar and I'm going to get Deception and I activate Deception and they ash it, well, now I have no body. So like, yeah, I can normal summon, but it's like, I'd rather be able to commit to my play to allow my opponent to answer me on a, on a point that's just very devastating for me. Like if I summon the Gabanga and they go Ash Blossom, I would rather have the cross out for that than to have just than an attempt to set up an Omni that could lose the, a single hand trap. Because the amount of resources that you actually lose from that engine is quite huge. I mean, Deception and Black Witch are at a cost of 2 cards every time you activate a card. So like Black Witch immediately puts you down to literally 3 cards in hand. So with this allows me to be able to have access to this, also to talents, also to hand traps, which allows me to be able to answer my opponent. So for example, if I open up this in talents, that's far greater than opening up Black Witch and Deception or Black Witch and Wanted, because I actually don't want to draw because I'm not really looking for combo pieces, because a lot of my combo is just getting into Cherubini or getting into the Goblin stuff. So it's like, this was honestly a great idea, and I think that I would continue to do this in future builds for Phantom Knights as long as I have the room, because this actually felt very great. It gave you the option of having access to hand traps while also being able to kind of have that protection you need right now in this format. And since monsters aren't really doing it, because we really don't have the ability to set up monsters like that now with a lot of the generic cards being gone, I feel like this just felt great, honestly. So I think I will continue to play cross out again, but 45 card deck. That's all for the main deck. And then for our extra deck, we have Gossip Shadow. I was playing this because we would see Terra Top in a starter, and we'd just be able to summon this and have defense or protection for our board with cross out, which means that we'd basically be able to full combo most of the time. Gabanga, Leviair, Break Sword, Banshee to search the Nemesis monster, Raiders Knight, Arc Rebellion for the OTK, board clear. Then for the links, we're playing Underworld because we want to have access to stuff that's like impenetrable or something that's just too much of a problem for us to normally deal with. Bardiche, I played 2 SP Little Knight. I think one of these could have been a Dweller. So in the event that instead of trying to go into Flame Banshee and that whatever you're going to do isn't impactful enough, you can have access to Dweller, depending on your locals and stuff. But a lot of our local players are playing meta, so I tend to try to kind of cater just to the locals in general for what I'm playing at. SP Knight, IP, and then of course Cherubini. So that was the extra deck. I like this a lot. I think the only thing I didn't make was Zeus. I feel like Zeus is still not that great at the moment. I mean, it's a great card, but I think that right now his accessibility is kind of hard to come by. It's a little easier since people are playing Ryzeal, because you could just crash a monster and then just make whatever you want whenever you want. But unfortunately, obviously, that's not always going to be the play. But that's it for the extra deck. And then we'll go into the side deck since I had one for locals. So we've got our 1D barrier. We got that paired up with the Sanctum because we're using it with Thrust. And then Sanctum is actually going to bring out our Artifact Lancia during our opponent's turn, primarily for Malice. Then we also have access to 3 Ultimate Slayer that we can search off with Thrust if needed. And then we're playing the Aggregator as a card to use with the Ultimate Slayer. We have our time card for Graph and a Barbar, and then we have our last target, which is D-Shifter for the crossout. So a very simple, generic sideboard for the current format I feel is really good. We want to have answer to Shifter, so crossout's great for that, so that we're not having to play cards in our deck that are good around Shifter but bad for our deck. And then we have a Graph Barbar for the burn and everything else for the meta. So we have all that covered. So that was it for the main, side, and extra. Let's go ahead and do a quick combo video so I can showcase for you guys how we set up everything. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started here. Shuffle this up. All right, did a little shuffle up prior. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Alrighty, so this is our starting hand. So let's go ahead and play. We'll activate the Grand Entrance. That's going to search us the Dark Charger. Let's hope and pray our opponent doesn't have Droll. We normal summon Charger. Go ahead and search the spell. We'll activate the spell to go ahead and get out the Merciless. Effect to summon from hand. Summon Gone Wild. Effect to summon from deck. Summon Sploder. Sploder effect to summon Charger. Unfortunately, we only had the one source of protection through Crossout, but our hand's pretty good. So here, we actually are going to have an extra body. So we're going to be able to set up protection plate out here. So we'll do these two. Actually, we'll do these two. Because Merciless can be our extension. So summon this. Activate Cherubini. And normally what I'll do is, since I already have Merciless, we'll send in Ragged Gloves. Because if our opponent decides to try to nib us, we'll just let it happen on the Bardiche, because then we can just bring them back with a trap. Summon, activate the effect. So we're going to go ahead. We'll set the Shade and we'll send the Cloak. So like I said, here we can actually get ourselves a little bit more protection. So we'll probably do so, just so that we can play it safe. So we'll special summon this. Overlay these two for Goss. And then we'll go ahead and activate Cloak to add to hand. Grab the Stained. Oops. Grab Stained. We'll activate Shade to summon the, or summon, then summon this. He'll activate in hand. You'll want to make him a level 4. Flame Banshee. Then the Flame Banshee will activate. And we'll go ahead and search the Nemesis flag. Nemesis flag can return the Cloak. And then flag will go ahead and search for our Proto. We can also set up a little bit more depending on our interruptions and stuff. So for example, once we get to this point, if we had to negate something, we have Boots and Grave. We could banish this for a Torn Scale to get an extra body. We will have an extra body with Merciless for the detach off Banshee. So you're also able to do something there. Since we didn't have access to Gabanga to start our combo, we are actually able to use the 2 bodies here to actually make it as well. Because that's one of our accesses for light when we're using Protos. Normally our combo will keep Gabanga on the board when we do 2 level 3s. And then we'll go ahead and just keep it on the board with Protos. Protos call light, so we have something to destroy. But here, just to finish out the combo, we'll go ahead and get rid of those 2 for IP Masquerena. And then we can go ahead and summon the Protos by banishing one of each attribute. And so you'll always have access to one of each attribute, basically, just from naturally playing the deck. And that's why I said the Earth was actually very important, because like in this situation, we needed the Earth for the Dark Charger to go to grave. So that's why you got to be mindful about what you're using from your board, because the only thing that we pretty much need access to on your end board is Sploder, is what you want to try to keep in the grave. It's a little hard because sometimes you do need to banish it for Protos if you need to call fire, because of the fact that you have to keep Nemesis flag and you have to keep the Banshee on board. But generally, you want to try to keep Sploder in grave because you'll have access to Gabanga if you didn't need to call light, and that's a source of interruption during your opponent's turn. But this kind of sucks because we wanted to have access to just another extender in the event we wanted an extra body. Not that we need it because we already had the Gossip, but if we needed to summon, like, you know, Goblin Biker before we needed to summon the Gabanga for a light, then that would have been our access to it. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much how you do the combo. And then of course here, if you wanted to have more protection, you could like detach, get rid of this, and then be able to search for a Fog Blade if you value the Fog Blade more. Or we can just banish this, send Boots to add a Fog Blade. So we do have access to a Fog Blade. So we do have access to like 3 or 4 interruptions, depending on what you go with your end board. But we can do that one more time just so I can show you. It's pretty good. So we'll go ahead and special summon the Tomborg. Special. And like I said, we're always going into Gossip just because it gives us that extra protection. Very heavy hand trap format, so definitely worth it. We'll go ahead and normal summon the Merciless. His effect will let a special from hand. Grab ourselves the Charger. Since we already have Breakout, that's why I like having the entrance, because then it allows us to actually activate the entrance if we want an additional extender for this turn. To grab Doug. Now in this situation, obviously we didn't have to do that, but that's just what you can do. These 2, we'll go ahead and overlay them for Gabanga here. Then we won't use the search effect because we already opened up pretty much all of our targets, but we'll go ahead and activate this to summon. And then we'll do his search effect. And we're doing this just for the purpose of having a light and to filter out cards in our deck that we no longer need. because the spell is actually, the entrance from grave is actually really good. You can put back Gabanga as well, and that'll allow you to be able to have access to him again. I want to do it this way just because we want to have access to the light. So we'll activate Breakout on Dark Charger. We'll go ahead and grab our guys. We'll grab Gone Wild effect. Grab Sploder effect. We'll grab Dark Charger. And then we'll go ahead and do 2 level 3s. Like I said, depending on what you have here, we already have access to Merciless. If you wanted access to, a different fire to banish, we could, but we're just doing a generic end board, so we're not really looking to do anything specific. Summon. So we'll say Cherubini sent. My safest Phantom Knight I always send is always going to be Ragged Gloves. And then we'll do Bardisha effect. We'll go ahead and get a trap. Send the cloak. We'll do cloak effect. Stained. Then we'll activate Brigade. Make him level 4. Overlay. So same thing as before. Banshee. Banshee effect. Search flag. And then we're going to summon flag. We're returning. Alright, get our Protos. And then we'll go ahead and use these two to make IAP. And then we'll summon Protos. Dark and then the Earth. Banish those. And that's it. So then we can, if we don't have any further extension, I always go for the Fog Blade. So we'll send this. Send Boots. Banish Boots with the Fog Blade. So with this, of course, uninterrupted, if our opponent just happens to not open up a hand trap, this is basically how we would end. And what you call depends on what you prefer. So in these moments where you kind of have these extra bodies, it gets pretty interesting because situations like this, what we can do is, if we wanted to actually call Dark, we could use the Merciless to bring back by detaching off Gabanga. And then we can link these two into SP Little Knight, and then call Dark, and then these will destroy. And so this will stay on the board, of course, because it was made with IP, and then we can go ahead and at the end phase, he'll reattach from the deck, and then we would actually be able to have that source of interruption off Sploder. So we would have 3, we'd have 1, 2, 3 interruptions. If he's still on the board, 4, and then protection with this. So it's not bad. And depending on the deck we're calling Dark on it, it's usually just an FTK anyways. Especially against Malice. Being able to just call Dark is more than enough against Malice. So I wanted to show that for you guys. But hope you guys like the combo. Hope, you guys definitely check this out. As always, I'm glad I'm able to provide you guys with content. Continue to like and subscribe. I'm going to be definitely looking forward to doing content with Phantom Knight Orcus. So if you did tune in through the whole video, you definitely get that update. I won't share that anywhere else. I won't tell anybody else. I won't post it anywhere else. And if you know me locally, you know that I'm obviously picking up stuff for Phantom Knight Orcus. But otherwise, yeah, I never played Phantom Knight Orcus when it was big. Before or around after 2016, because that's when I first quit. So I never got a chance to play Phantom Knight Orcus, but now that Orcus is getting that support, I went ahead and picked up all the Orcus cards. So I'll be brewing Phantom Knight Orcus moving forward. So yeah, hopefully you guys can tune in, like, subscribe, share that with those that you know, so that way we can get more, followers, get more people, playing the deck. So hope you guys can continue to enjoy.